Everybody could make it this evening. I know this is a tough week, so we'll hopefully keep this pretty quick. But with that, then I'll call to order the Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, December 22nd. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Um, Just a couple updates. Obviously, we had quite an event this past weekend with the storm that came in that unfortunately we had a lot of power outages, and I think it was partly because of the wetness of the melting snow and a lot of trees just were blown over with the heavy winds. So we started out with maybe roughly 3,500 outages on Friday. Things got turned on very quickly for most people within that day. I know I was out for about probably 8 hours on Friday. But there unfortunately was a number of residents that
Thank
over the
you.
weekend did not get fully turned on till Sunday night. And I have to say that Eversource was ill prepared for this. We had struggle getting what they call make safe crews out. So even though our guys were working hard and cleared the roads as much as possible, if it involves a power line, we have to wait for Eversource to come to make it safe for them before they can do their work. So there was a number of blockages I know that people experienced in different parts of town, both in the middle of the town and the northern part of the town. So we were aggressively, in communication with them all weekend. We weren't the only town that was impacted by this. Typically, when we get notifications from the state about, storms. Eversource usually puts out, communications, and there was nothing received ahead of time. So I don't think they were staffed at all for this. And so they were scrambling a lot. So it's unfortunate. There were a few neighborhoods I know that bled into Sunday and even Sunday evening before they got restored. And that was unfortunate, but I want to give a lot of credit to our Public Works Department for doing everything that they could. And also to Sam DeBurra, who was taking the brunt, I think, of working with Eversource and trying to get them to be more receptive. So we're certainly going to be following up with our community liaison as well as with the state. I was in constant contact with Senator Cohen, who was a big help as well. And I think this is one of those where it was unfortunate. Luckily, it didn't bleed into this week. So, but we do have other storms coming potentially. But the town also did experience some damage. Most significantly, I would say, is at the surf club. Some of you may have seen that the actual Governor Point is in great shape. The new wall held up beautifully and everything. There were huge waves that came in, swells on Friday, because these winds were combined with high tide. And there was a lot of water action that went over the wall, just past Garvin Point, more towards the surf club buildings that wiped out a lot of the ground there behind the kind of older part of the wall. So we're going to be having a engineering firm come in and assess that. It's going to be more just kind of putting in fill and putting grass back. But we'll have an idea of what that cost is going to be. It will probably require an appropriation just to give a heads up. I don't think this isn't like, major infrastructure stuff, but it's stuff that needs to be repaired and fixed, obviously. So, and then there was other parts of the beach that were washed out that usually comes back through a couple of cycles with high tide. I know some people had commented about East Wharf and West Wharf. We don't really think there was significant damage there, but we're going to have the engineers go out and look at everything. There is a lot of rocks at East Wharf, which people sometimes don't realize that were there before, and they will always be there. And sometimes it looks like it's part of the wall, but it's not really. It's part of the natural landscape. But we are going to have just somebody go out and look at everything just to double check that there wasn't any additional damage done. So, it's unfortunate, but this is what we're seeing. These kind of smaller things can be just as impactful as hurricanes sometimes in terms of some of the damage that we see in the power outages. Um, so that was kind of, and we did see a lot of roadway flooding during the event on Friday. Everything did recede over time. So tomorrow this shouldn't be too much of an event. A light coating of snow. We might see a higher snow totals on Friday. So I just urge everybody to, I know with the holidays coming up, to watch the weather, proceed cautiously, and make sure you look for road closures and things like that. On the PD is usually the one that's who are going to be tracking all the road closures, their Facebook page. Um, so that was kind of the big update. And then just also want to highlight that when we come back, got a busy month of January. Obviously, the first week of January, January 6th and January 8th, we've got the information sessions for Academy. So the public is welcome to attend virtually or in person. They're being held at Neck River Elementary School. They will also be recorded, so you can watch the presentations also if you can't make those times to attend. So any other updates, Selectmen updates, or?
Peggy, I had a question regarding the damage at Surf Club. Any chance there would be any insurance coverage for some of that?
Yeah, we're gonna look into all of that. I think we just have to figure out what the problem is first, and how do you repair it. But potentially, it could be a potential. It's not. It's a little, because it's more just washed away. I don't think there was actual like damage done to anything. As more as we lost a bunch of. So I don't know if that would qualify, but that's something we'll certainly be exploring.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I mean, I guess I kind of had a similar question around the damage and just kind of what the next steps were, but you answered that, so that's helpful. There's definitely a lot of chatter on social media about kind of what happened and what the recourse is relative to, we just did Garvin Point. So
Mhm.
would that be an insurance claim? Would that be going back to our engineering company? But it sounds like we don't know yet.
It's
Yeah.
also not where most all the work occurred. It's actually a little bit past that. So, and that's part of this Surf Club master planning process that we're going through is this is going to continue to recur
Mhm.
more and more, I think, with water coming in further than we've seen. Austin said it went all the way to the volleyball courts, so there was a lot of you know, unusual, I would say, activity, although unusual is kind of now becoming usual a little bit more, but the swells are pretty high. And when you get wind and high tide combined, you see things like this. So
And
uh
we were out of power for about 8 hours. Jen, I think you guys were out overnight too. So
Yeah, we were out overnight up this way.
yeah.
And I will say the crews did a great job cleaning stuff up. I took a drive down into Clinton just as the wind was picking up, and there were trees down on Horse Pond. There was a tree down across the northbound lanes of the connector, and they got stuff cleaned up, really quickly from what I could tell. But once those peaks of winds hit and some of the side roads, I mean, that's the nature of the beast with where we live with all of our tree cover. Um,
well, it's the outlets were out. They shut down, and then Big
yeah.
Y was on generators over in Clinton. So
Yep.
yeah, I
Yep.
agree.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it,
it
it
was.
hit everybody pretty good.
It did, and
Yeah.
sometimes you get an outage that impacts a lot of houses because it's on a major pole has a
Hmm.
transformer or something on it so then it's trying to get the right crews there. They were not though. I would just say they weren't properly staffed for this. I don't think.
Hmm.
And we were really out of the whole state. There were a few towns like up in the north and that maybe had similar outages, but pretty much it was like Guilford was just a little higher than us, and they were experiencing the same delays. Clinton,
Hmm.
Stonington, I noticed had a lot. So it was definitely like a coastal kind of impact for sure. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so this is just but I think that they're going to be hearing a lot from the towns. We'll just say that. So once you're getting into day
I mean,
three, I mean, I've had a lot of power outages for 2 days. Once you get
yeah.
into day three, it's like, okay, guys, and it's cold. That's what's really tough.
Yeah.
I
And
think the storm swell was just unplanned for too, right? I mean, I just think there was so much that happened there that, whether it was the moon, whether it was the wind, whether, there was a lot going on there.
yeah. Okay, well, if no further comments from the board, then I'll move it on to citizens' comments. Do we have any hands raised? Jeannie? No,
No, you
I
do
don't
not.
see anything. Yeah, I don't
No.
see anything. So, okay. All right, great. All right, moving on to item number 6. And just so the public understands, this is the time of year usually where we're doing a lot of reappointments for boards and commissions. So that's why there's such a long list here. These are people that their term ends and then we reappoint. There's a few other committees we still need to get to. Some of the reappointments just haven't been finalized, so we'll probably do a chunk of these in early January as well. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, and I do want to also highlight the Madison Foundation, $20,000 for Meals on Wheels, which is fantastic. I know we've been trying to do fundraising now, and it's great to see the community stepping up and making a donation. So that was exciting. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Okay. And then we just have this one item on here, but I thought from a timing standpoint, it was important to do. This is on 2 projects that will be, item number 7 is 2 projects that are going to be holding a public hearing on in January, and the board hadn't really gotten an update on that. So I wanted you guys to have an opportunity to just understand where we are in the projects. There's going to be opportunities to make changes if we want to, but the public hearing is really a feedback opportunity as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to Rob, our town engineer, to talk about the 2 projects, which we're excited to see moving forward.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Yeah, so just briefly, just to give you an update on the 2 projects here. The first one, uh, well, let me just describe the 2 projects. We have the Madison Downtown Center, and then we also have the sidewalk and crosswalk improvements along Boston Post Road, Britton Lane, and West Wharf Road. Um, they've both progressed over the late summer, fall. If you recall, we just got the commitment to fund for the sidewalk crosswalk project back in July, August. We executed it, so that project's fully lot zip funded. Both projects are being designed by SLR Consulting. So they've been working diligently throughout the summer, fall, collecting survey information and beginning the preliminary design work. I apologize. So when I sent out the Google Drive link for you to access the plans and the other information I provided, those plans were from October-ish. Since that time, for both projects, since that time we've had DOT comment on both projects, as well as the town has provided some comments as well to move both projects forward. So what you see at those plans is a general idea of what direction we're going in. However, they've advanced significantly since that time. So, as Peggy noted, we are having a public information meeting. Both projects in the same night. We're going to kind of do it back to back. So on Monday night, January 12th, in meeting room A here, from 5:30 to 6:30, we're going to have the crosswalk sidewalk project. Then we'll kind of have, like, in case we run over a little bit, or if there'll be a 30-minute intermission. And then from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. we'll discuss the Madison Downtown Center. At that point in time, the plans will be brought up to sort of a semi-final design where it'll include the DOT's comments for both projects. And granted, any feedback that any of you have, or at those meetings, any public feedback that is applicable to the plans, we'll certainly incorporate those into the projects and look to push this to the final design phase. Uh, Assuming, since this is in the state right away, as I noted, there's a certain degree of permitting that's associated with this. So as of right now, I know, in case you're wondering about anticipated construction schedule, uh,
Hey,
right now,
Rob,
again,
can I just interrupt real quick? Because
sure,
I don't,
absolutely.
where was the materials? Because I know we talked about it, but was it in the, you guys didn't get anything, did you? Jeannie, what happened to the materials for this? Because so the board hasn't seen anything, I don't think. I'm just looking at the agenda packet.
Not in our packet.
I
I
sent,
didn't receive anything.
hold on, let me check.
Just, I mean, he can go over it now, but there was you were going to do a memo, I know that, and then share just a kind of a high level overview of the project.
Yeah, so I sent the at 2:34 on Thursday. I sent the Google Drive link that was to be shared with the board. Maybe I don't know, maybe got lost in
Okay.
the email chain. I sent it to yeah. Well, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I did send this Google Drive. I created the memorandum,
Okay.
a budget breakdown for both projects and both plan sets. I included in my Google Drive link. Um, but again, I could
Yeah.
you can look at that the link now or after this
Why
meeting.
don't you, yeah, why don't you screen share it just to show, I think for downtown center to just show the project. So, because they have not seen any of the plans. Um,
Sure. So,
and
can you
then I
see
know
my
the
screen?
memo was to talk about the budget on this, which, surprise, surprise, some things have come up because we've gotten a lot of feedback from DOT. There's multiple reasons that the budget is a little bit more than what we had been planning on. So,
Sure, I could go through those. So basically, can you see my screen now?
yes.
Okay, so these are basically the roadway plans for the Madison Downtown Center. Shouldn't be much of a surprise. It's basically the other third of the project that we bid out back in 2014, 2015. It's pretty similar to former town engineers design. We upgraded a few things and took a fresh look at it, but generally it's the same design. We'll have again the Tuxas Pond Walkway on this plan set. It hasn't been updated, but we made some changes here. Um, Pretty much the alignment of the sidewalk uh, on both sides of the street remains unchanged from the prior plan set. Here at the CVS driveway entrance, as you can see, we don't have the line striping on here currently, but we're going to provide a right lane out. There's a lane for a left across the street eastbound, and then we'll have an island, and then we'll have a one in lane ingress lane. Um, these islands, Peggy and I and Sam had spoken about, there's some minor tweaks. We're going to extend one of these islands a little bit and shorten the other one a little bit, but that'll be in the plans being presented on January 12th. One thing I would like to note though, because this is something that was not in the original plan set back in 2014, was we will be installing the mid-block crossing here. So this is basically by, I think right here is Ashley's Ice Cream and Key Bank, this plaza here. So you'll have the ability now to exit out and then, all these businesses here, residents or pedestrians here will be able to cross at the mid-block crossing here. And let me zoom in. And we'll be able to cross across the median to the other side of the street here. So this is probably, well, I don't know if anyone was involved in going back like a decade ago, but this is the only real major change from the original plan set.
And
So
I think that was certainly, something very desirable. I think historically the state was always resistant to what they call mid-block, not at a stoplight or anything. But they've really changed their whole, view of these things in terms of trying to make things more pedestrian friendly. So I think, we really wanted to have this as a part of this because everybody agrees it's kind of a little chaotic with people just crossing wherever. So now we're going to try to get rid of the people who just all those little tiny sections of the median that people try to walk on. We're going to try to get them to use the crosswalk, so which will be safer. Um,
yeah,
and, and it'll be ADA accessible, correct? It'll have the ramps and
yep.
things like that as well.
Yeah, so we have a note here, remove pavers within the existing median. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of these sort of brick paver areas. We'll be removing those and adding landscaping, and now you'll have a safe means to cross the street here with this mid-block crossing. So basically, outside of that, extending the we'll have a flush a median here in front of the firehouse. So of course they need to be able to, for safety reasons, access westbound and eastbound. So we go back to that prior sheet. Um, so from basically where our existing island ends now, there'll be a flush paver median to about the kind of, if you line it up past the firehouse, which is here, past their driveway, which is here. We'll kind of start this other median lined up with the Tuxas Pond walkway. So the fire apparatus and trucks can come out and go westbound or eastbound. Eastbound or westbound. So again, there was the number of DOT comments, and we also provided some input. If you're available in January 12th, feel free to chime in and take a listen. And if not, I could certainly send you the sort of more current, our latest and greatest plans, in early January.
I just want to also mention a couple things because the state is redoing the crosswalks right and the lights at that intersection. So
Yep.
that impacted design a bit. And we have asked about returning that secondary back exit onto 79 that they did temporarily. They're pretty much a brick wall on that. And I forget the term. What is it, Rob? That area is designated as a
Yeah, so this is their right of way line, and
yeah.
it's considered a non-access line. So you can't, not you can't break it, but they heavily advise, and they generally don't break these non-access lines. Uh, Not that you couldn't, but it's from my understanding and speaking with the state, it's a significant process, and they're not particularly keen on breaking this line. For the improvements that were done here to this property recently, that was permitted as only a temporary, uh, it was more of a hardship that they were suggesting with closing down these businesses here. So they allowed this temporary break. But from my understanding, they're not open to breaking this for a permanent access on Durham Road.
Yeah, and I think
That
that,
feedback was unbelievably positive when it
yeah,
was open.
yeah,
Unbelievably positive.
I know. I intend to keep pushing this a little bit with them. The other piece to highlight, though, it would really be the property owner that would have to make the request ultimately, because it's private property, right? So we would have to coordinate with the property owner to kind of push this issue. I think we're going to try to, just because I do think it makes a huge, I don't think we could do an in and out, but I think we could do a right turn out of it, and that would help alleviate
How is
some of the
that
traffic going
intersection?
onto.
But how is that intersection into CVS not deemed dangerous? I mean, that to me baffles me. I mean, every time I drive into CVS and taking that left, it's
Yeah.
dangerous going in there. You're crossing multiple lanes of traffic. It,
Well, this will be better laid out, and I know that some of the earlier plans had actually gotten rid of that, which would have been a huge problem if you got rid of the left coming out of there because of just traffic, right? It would have caused a lot, I think, a lot of problems if we didn't have the left turn going out of CBS. But I do think it's worth pushing, and we're going to try to see if we can make some progress with them to relook at this. And if the property owner is willing, I'm assuming they will be, because it would make things much easier and cleaner for them.
drive through
So
because you have the drive through at
One,
CVS. Like,
yeah,
Yeah, so one thing I would like to note though is are the town pursuing that alternative is not part of the downtown center project. Like we're
understood.
currently on a
Understood. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ticking clock
yeah, he
with
doesn't, we don't want to
Yeah, yeah.
upset the
Blur the lines. I'm
state.
with you, Rob. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So that's gonna be a separate conversation once we get our plan approved for this. Because it's not really related, it's private property. But it is something that I think we all recognize could be a big benefit to the traffic down there for sure. Um,
So, absolutely. And so that's basically, again, we'll have more clearer plans. Again, it's more of these are probably around 50%. We'll have like 75% with DOT incorporated comments come January 12th. And so with that, I'll segue over to uh, the sort of a sidewalk crosswalk project. And again, this is multiple sheets, so I'm not going to this is kind of I'll resend the link that I sent with West, but essentially this is Surf Club Road and in West Wharf. So we're proposing, the sidewalk along West Wharf here.
Golf course right there.
Yeah, this is the golf course on
Yeah.
this side here, the
Yeah.
the westerly side of the sheet. Um, and then continue going along up West Wharf, still going all up West Wharf. Now we're accessing this is the club parking lot here. And then ultimately we get to the intersection here of West Wharf and Boston Post Road. And as the DOT had recommended as a kind of or suggested as part of our LOTSIP application, not only do we have the crosswalks here and the rapid rectangular flashing beacons, but we also have this right here is a bus stop location. And then on this side, we have another bus stop location as well. Um, and again, that came at the suggestion of the DOT. So
Stop location is right by that house on the corner, Rob.
yeah, well, on the north side or the south side?
Where you were just pointing.
Right
I
here.
don't.
Yeah, right here. There's actually a bus stop over here, the westbound bus stop.
Is there one on the north up top of the road too?
Yeah, it's over here.
Yeah, isn't that right by the house? Isn't there a house right there in the corner?
No, this is the parking lot here for the country club. So
Okay, I'm not oriented right. Okay,
yeah, this the clubhouse for like the country club is right here. Here's
got
all
it.
their parking, and then
Okay,
yeah. So that's this sheet, and then just moving along here, we'll continue. So hold on, me going a little crazy here. So basically, you have the ability to cross over Lantern Hill, and then on you're going eastbound on the north side of Boston Post Road. You'll be able to follow the sidewalk along here. We tried to keep it away from the road for a portion of it, but then because of some rock outcroppings in here, we had to keep it, kind of abut the roadway. But the good thing is there's an 8-foot roadway shoulder there, so it's not exactly right next to the sort of the vehicular travel. There's still like an 8-foot sort of zone. So we'll follow along the north side here until we get to sort of Britton Lane. And again, you have to pardon me because again, this is a preliminary design. This sort of curve in Britton Lane is going to be altered a bit. It's not going to be as sharp. We're going to tweak this. But essentially, the sidewalk is going to follow along the north side of Boston Post Road and then eventually enter Britton Lane here on the north side of Britton Lane, ultimately making its way up to Cops Road, where we'll have a crosswalk to access. This right here is the town green. So you'll be able to go from downtown center to the town green, or if you're at the farmers market, you want to walk down to the beach. And this is a highly frequently pedestrian traveled uh, corridor especially in the summertime. So you'll be if you're at the concert or you want to go from you're at the beach and you want to go to concert, you have the ability to walk in between the town green, ultimately connecting to the downtown center as well, to the Madison to the surf club.
Rob, why not put the sidewalk on the triangle portion there, which is all undeveloped? This is grass.
Over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I guess that's an option as well. I mean, there's really no the reason why is there's a utility pole and a number of trees on the south side here. As you can see, tree. There's a pole in here somewhere. Here's a pole. On the north side here, it's actually once you get around this curve, this is a kind of a straight run here on the north side. Outside of just relocating this drainage structure top, there's really not much impact on the north side here. But on the south side, that was one of the reasons why when we looked at this side, there's a number of trees, and then there's also a drainage structure as well as a utility pole.
Well, it looks like it
Oh,
would require more crosswalks too, right? Because you then have to have another
Yeah, so you also have to cross
crosswalk
over at this corner and then cross again,
and
and then
over on that
cross
end
over
too. So
here.
you'd have to have two crosswalks. Um, I mean, so they try to find, the path of least resistance, so to speak, in terms of obstructions and the least
Yeah,
amount
and
of
this is
crossing.
also the DOT's recommend. This was their recommended alternative. So when we had our engineers kind of look at this, they kind of agreed with the DOT when we got those LOTSIP comments, LOTSIP project comments. So we ultimately vetted this and thought this was a good alignment. Being able to stay on the north side and not having to cross, and again with these, obstructions here. So that's pretty much this section. But then there's also another, and this to me, I'm equally excited about the other section of town here because I think this links together all sorts of residents, park users, commercial businesses. Uh, but this, so basically, essentially, now we went from the west end to kind of the east end of town here, where we let's see, where are we right
And this is all packaged as one lots of application,
now?
just, so, which they had recommended doing. So,
Yep. So right here, basically, this is that auxiliary lot for Hammond Asset that fronts Boston Post Road. This is that lot. The entrance to the park is kind of off the sheet. It's out over here, but here's that sort of auxiliary lot. A lot
that's
of
the
people use,
Shoreline Greenway Trail lot,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
Shoreline Greenway Trail. A lot of people use that. A lot of times that's used as overflow parking in the summertime. Um, but yeah, there's also a pedestrian. It's not shown on the plans here, but there's also this footpath that kind of goes, through here, and you could kind of see a piece of it here. But it was important for us to be able to provide ADA accessibility. So it's not just this footpath. So now we're going to provide sidewalk, basically from the mouth of the driveway apron where now you could go east. Um, and this is actually over here, the Middlesex facility over here, the Middlesex, and I think there's other businesses in there as well. But then you get to the intersection here at Dudley Lane, where you're at Boston Post Road, Dudley Lane. So you have a few options here. You could either go north across again, this is flashing beacon activated crosswalk. You could go to the north side and you have Lenny and Joe's over here, or you could cross over Dudley Lane here and you have Dunkin' Donuts over here, or you could stay on the south side, cross over where you have Donahue's. Either way, it's going to be same part of a circular sidewalk loop that connects all of these properties. So you see, let's stay on the south side real quick. You cross over Dudley Lane by Donahue's, the gas station over here. You'll be able to continue walking. Uh, there's a few other properties here, but then you eventually get to Salt Meadow Park, which I think is cool. You have the dog park right here, so you can walk along the sidewalk, have access. There's our gravel walk that enters Salt Meadow that you can basically branch off of and go into the park. Um, go to the dog park, or you can continue walking, and then we are ultimately going to have another crosswalk um, down here by Cottage Road. So you'll be able to come around. You can cross here as well as Cottage, cross across Cottage, and then it kind of brings you back the other way. So you'll have all these businesses. You have Lacrosse Unlimited, Cohen's Bagels, uh, all the businesses that are in here, and it kind of circles you back. Um, what is it? Hammond has a package store. I forget. But it eventually circles you back to Dunkin' Donuts. So this is a huge sidewalk loop in a very heavily commercialized area, including two major parks, one state, one town, and again, you have multiple residents in this area as well as people out of town who utilize this area. I'm very excited to get this um, section of sidewalk installed as well.
Oh,
So
I
this
think
did
this will be
this
a
this project
good.
didn't include Scotland though, right?
no, No,
That's a
this is
whole nother project. Yeah.
completely different. So also included on my Google Drive link, I also had like sort of a project breakdown here. So again, anticipated construction timeline. I most likely it's going to be a 2 season. Both of these are going to be 2 season. Downtown Center is certainly going to be a 2 season because we're not going to certainly not going to construct this in the summertime. A lot of it's dependent on when our permits come back. But right now, I'm assuming everything goes smoothly with the permitting with the state. Most likely a fall construction timeline. So we'll partially get some of it done in the fall, and we'll probably have to find like kind of like a break line and continue in the spring. Maybe not so much the Boston Post Road sidewalk and crosswalk. If we get a good contractor, like we did with the Woodland Road, Durham Road, and Bradley Road project, we may be able to get this done in 1 season. This project, especially because it's lots of funded, I'd love to, if this sort of like sped through in the next month or two with limited permitting hiccups, I'd love to get this done in starting in the spring, and then have the ability for those sidewalks to be utilized in this upcoming summer. But again, I think that's a little optimistic, but that's certainly what I'm going to try to do. Downtown Center, though, I think it'll be definitely the fall at the earliest. So these are some numbers that I put together here for the project. Planning and design, we had $278,000 in change here allocated in the CIP. We've used a portion on that for the current design, and there's some money in there that we'll need for construction, inspection, and administration. Um, we're currently utilizing two grant programs, a STEEP and TOD grant we received a couple years back. And with both grants, there was required municipal matching. So that was put into the CIP, and these were the respective matches for each of these grants. So we have that allocated for now. To Peggy's, what she alluded to earlier was we have a total. Back when we applied for these grants, that was a pretty cursory estimate that was done based, for grant planning. Again, we used our sort of old set of plans, 2022 or 2023 pricing. And so now that we're kind of in the heart of the design, um, you know, based on the newer estimate, we're looking at an estimated construction total of, a bit over 2.4 million. So excluding this, because this is a whole different, this is for planning and design. For construction money, if you add up the two grants we have and our required matching, with this estimated construction total, we're at a shortfall of right around 900K. So
So just walk, because I know we talked about why that's the case, so there was a couple things you highlighted that, were just factors that impacted the cost.
yeah, sure. So in the original estimate, which was done a number of years ago, one of the big ticket items, almost a third of the additional funding, it was that in that original estimate that was done. It did not include roadway restoration at that time. Uh, I can't really tell you why it wasn't included in that estimate, but what I can say is the roadway restoration, which is going to be a couple $100,000, was not included. So now a full curb to curb roadway restoration, which the state is certainly going to require, I can assure you that. That's now built into this additional municipal funding that's required. Also, the costs have gone up. Obviously, this sounds like a cliche. I listened to enough meetings. It sounds like cliche, but it's true. Like back in 2022, if you look at the unit prices on a number of items here, there is definitely a difference that adds to the increase. So yeah, for sure. And then also the back there were some also items in that estimate, and again, I can't speak to why they were omitted, but there was a few items that were either under quantified or omitted from the prior estimate. So now that this is sort of a boots on the ground, we're into the design. This is becoming a more and more accurate number, and it'll become even more accurate when we finish our final design. So this is kind of where we sit right now with what we have allotted, allocated, and basically what we're going to need, um, for this project. The good news is for the other project, this is a lots of funded project. So as you can see here, this is money we allocated for planning and design through CIP. We use some town aid road and planning reserve money, which I've come to the boards, I think, twice for to include additional scope. It wasn't like anything went wrong. We kind of just the DOT encouraged it, and um, they were positive improvements for Madison. So we added some additional planning reserve design money. But again, since this is LOTSIP included in their program, there's no required municipal match, no additional funding necessary. And this is currently the estimated construction total for that project. So that's kind of where we stand with the finances. And then lastly, I'm kind of doing this backwards. I started with the plans, but this was the memorandum sort of I provided uh back on whatever Thursday.
Yeah,
But
we can send that out just so the board has that. So apologies that somehow that got missed. But so I think the budgeting of this, I think we'll have some more conversations in January, obviously, because we'll have to make a decision of the priority of this. Do we want to do an appropriation to fill this? The good thing is that we have been kind of earmarking money for the Scotland Road project as a appropriation, and we are getting more and more at least positive feedback that we'll be able to use other funding sources for that. So, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm hoping in January, even though the bad news is we might need this $900,000 to get this project done, which this has been going on for how many years, Al and Bruce? Madison Center project. So, and this is the final phase, getting it to 79. The good news is that we're not going to have, we can reallocate money that we kind of earmarked for Scotland Avenue. These were appropriations that we've been running as appropriation needs. That we could hopefully Scotland Avenue won't be needed anymore, and then we can put it towards this. So we'll talk more about that, I think, in probably like the end of January, early February, kind of going through some of that. Because there's and so what's great about LOTSIP, it picks up a lot, so that's great on the sidewalk projects. But so that's kind of where we are, which I think is really exciting, to see these things happen. Get close to starting at least, but we got to figure out the funding piece, obviously, on the Madison Center project.
yeah, I would definitely suggest for the public information meetings on January 12th, I think would be good because the plans will be um I'll be interesting to see it myself come early January prior to the meeting, which will show the incorporated DOT comments. And I can certainly send you, the board, a copy of those plans as well prior to that meeting. But again, and the BPAC's doing a great job. So just so everyone here knows, we started this with Scotland Avenue. We wanted to provide, we ran into a situation when we did the Woodland Road, Durham Road, and Bradley Road project, that sidewalk project. Even though the town did all its due diligence in notifying people of the project and advertising it, put it on social media, there were still people, who said they were unaware about the sidewalk project. So to add another layer of transparency with these projects, the BPAC and I have worked together where they're actually not only do we send our abutters letters and advertise the public information meeting, put it in the source, put it on our website, but the BPAC's been doing a great job of as the weeks get closer to these public information meetings, they've kind of, and it's still evolving, but they've kind of put forth this boots on the ground approach where they've been going out and walking sometimes door to door or to each business and just letting them know of the potential project. and letting them know about the public information meeting, like the Scotland Avenue public information we had back in September. I mean, since I've been here, which is, approaching 15 years now, I can't recall a public information meeting with that type of attendance. I think we had close to 60 people here. So just talk about educating the public and, not letting anything fall through the cracks. I think that was great. And, we're expecting a similar sort of attendance in January. So I encourage you to attend if possible. If not, we'll be doing it hybrid. It'll be virtual as well. So yeah.
And I will mention, because I know the other kind of sidewalk project that there's been a lot of public interest in is the Green Hill Road project. That we just received a preliminary design on that, so that will be shared with the board. Rob, we were talking maybe like late January, February, because I know you
Yeah.
need to do like a round on it, and then we'll share that with the board and have a conversation, because I know we haven't even moved forward with that yet in terms of the lots of application. So, but that will be coming too. That's getting close to being prepared for a public discussion.
Yeah, and then the last one I'll just note, just because I have everyone on the call here, is exciting. So after it's been a few years, and it had this project was stricken with all sorts of comments and challenges, but the good news is the Cops Road and Warpus Road roadway reconstruction project, which we're going to be adding some sidewalk in there, a lot of new drainage and reclaiming slash reconstructing basically from Cops Road up to Warpus, and then Warpus all the way up to 79, about 2 miles. That's slated to go out to bid on January 5th, and we were hoping to start construction April 1st. So after a number of years, our last collector road in town is going to be seeing some major improvements.
And that is a lots of funded project. So that's another good one that we were able to tap that funding. So a lot. Rob's a busy guy. But we appreciate you moving a lot of these forward, and it's exciting to see some of these improvements. So and we'll see what the public thinks, right?
Yeah, it's been the past 18 months, getting some of these off the ground has been a challenge, and working through some of the challenges. But when they start, I mean, people are going to be seeing a lot of work. So that was the past 18 months, but then the next 18 months, uh, there's going to be a lot of work being done, and I think it's going to be exciting once all of these four major projects, if you include Cops Warpus, Scotland, Downtown Center, and the Crosswalk Sidewalk project, including, let's not forget, Garnet Park Bridge is going to be coming up at some point as well, probably 2027. Next year or two, there's going to be significant improvements to the town, and again, mostly heavily funded by the state of Connecticut.
Right. So any questions for Rob or no?
Nope.
Sorry, you're muted. Yep.
Exciting stuff, Rob. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy holidays, my friend.
Same to you.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, citizens' comments.
No hands raised.
Going once, going twice. All right, I guess having no hands raised, I guess motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Moved. All right, all in favor say
Birthday,
aye, and
Bruce.
everybody have a wonderful holiday, please.
guys.
And
rest of
happy
the year.
birthday to Bruce.
Yes, and happy birthday, Bruce. So thank you, everybody. We got a
Bye,
busy
guys.
January, so get some
Sounds
rest.
good.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.